latest from Everclear coming up, plus a brand new one from the Refreshments. I'm Matt Pinfield. With me right now is Jewel. Jewel, good to have you here on 120. Now, you grew up in Alaska. That's where you spent your youth years. And there's a lot of interesting stories behind your growing up and how you became a musician. And one of the first things I want to talk about is the fact that you grew up without having a lot of modern conveniences or practically any. And you're not the only person I know that's been through that as a kid. It's not that unusual as people would think it is. But maybe you can reflect on that a little bit, because I know some people would think, oh, no TV, none of this. Can you tell me a bit about that? Do you feel you missed out on anything, or did it give you a completely different perspective as a youth?
I think it sculpts you in innumerable ways. I think being raised without television, or even we had coal stoves, no heat in the cabin. I think that you become what you're surrounded by, really. And to be raised without that distraction, you really hear who you're going to become in silence, and you create yourself in silence. And I was really taught a lot of creative skills as a child, the basket weave, and I've been singing since I was tiny, and bar gigging since I was little. And I really believe it creates a very independent, strong person.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Now, speaking of performing from the time you were at a young age, around 6 years old, you started performing with your family. You were doing yodeling and
dinner shows in hotels.
Yeah. Oh, were you doing dinner shows in hotels in Alaska, in that area? Tell me a bit about this. So you were living out off, with your family, and you would book the shows to perform. Was that what your father and mother did actually at the time?
Yeah, they put out 2 albums in the late 70s, early 80s. And we toured around. We did, the dinner shows in the Hiltons and things like that. And then we toured Eskimo villages, actually. And then they got divorced when I was 8, and my father and I made our living by bar singing.
Wow.
So I've been bar gigging forever.
That's excellent.
Yeah, I did, all sorts of harmonies in every old Elvis and Jimmy Buffett tune there is.
Right. That's great, though. You have an amazing voice. It's really.
It was good training.
Yeah, that's excellent. We're going to come back with Jewel in just a minute, and a little later she's going to perform live for us as well. Right now we've got a brand new one from Sonic Youth. This is the second clip of their 9th album, Washing Machine. It's a really cool video. Check it out. It's for a song called Little Trouble Girl, and it's new on 120 Minutes. Anyway, I'm Matt Pinfield, and I'm here with my special guest, Jewel. Speaking of old records and things, Jewel, we were talking off camera for a second before, and you mentioned that just now you're starting to hear, because of things like the Beatles all these years later. How is that for you? Is it a really fresh experience? I mean,
it's interesting. I've never listened to music that way. Writing was always influenced by my reading, and so poets and Dostoevsky or Plato really influenced my writing a lot. And so now that I've been writing songs for about 3 or 4 years now. So now that I am getting into music, it's the first time listening to what a drummer does. It sounds terribly ignorant, but it's been a fascinating, I just get to hear the Replacements for the first time. It changes your life.
Yeah,
it's great.
Right,
it's like reinventing yourself all over.
Right, yeah, that's excellent. Replacements were a great band too. Speaking of that now, with poetry, you've actually included some of your poetry inside the album this time around. Is that something that you think you'll do on the next record as well, just so that you have another side other than the songs that you write?
Yeah, I started out, doing poetry since I was a little girl. I'm probably better at that than I am at songwriting right now, or I've done it longer at least. I'm better. My hands have caught up to my head more in poetry. I can articulate more clearly, and yeah, I'd love to, eventually do that. But I'll always put them in my albums and those things.
Yeah, I think it's really good. Now, you actually ended up, when you were in high school, getting a scholarship to performing arts school. And how was that kind of change for you? Was that a great experience for you as well? Tell me a bit about that.
It was interesting. I moved out when I was 16, and then to go from living on your own to living in a boarding school was very difficult. But the arts were great. I ended up studying marble carving and dance, and it was a really wonderful experience.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
But it's again, like you said, a big change from the wide open space and the freedoms to,
I was raised very independently, and when I had a hard time, I could get on a horse and leave for days into the mountains. And when you're in a boarding school, you have to be in at 10 at night. You're not allowed to go out and look at the moon.
Right, it's all regimented.
Yeah, it's hard when I don't have silence or freedom around me. It's been hard about the road, too, but it just takes discipline and finding it in another way.
Yeah. Find those other freedoms and things that let you go. You went from that stage in your life to actually getting involved in the music industry and being discovered, if that's the word you want to use.
Whatever it is, it actually kind of was that way. I moved to San Diego for vacation and ended up staying there. I didn't want to go to college, and it was one of those things where, you scrape food off of people's plates and you steal toilet paper from fast food restaurants because you can't afford rent, and I got fired from a lot of jobs and harassed at many others, and finally got fired from the last one and decided, you know, it's sad how many people are asked to compromise and sacrifice all their pride and health just to have roofs over their heads. And I decided I'd just rather die than face consciousness the rest of my life, doing something that didn't fill me with any purpose or passion. And so Mom moved into her van, I lived in my van. And I started singing one night a week in a coffee shop and writing songs. And I never thought I'd get a record deal. I mean, it completely blew my mind. I remember the first night someone from Virgin Records came down, and said, "I really think you can make an album." I was like, "Nah, no way." And it still blows my mind. It's very humbling to know that I get to eat every day doing something that I love.
Yeah, that's a great thing, actually.
It is. It's very rare.
Right?
Very few people get that. And I believe passion breeds passion. I know that when you live your life with passion, people remember there. So I feel like it's a blessing to be able to tour around and sing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's excellent. So coming to the time when you actually did the album with Atlantic, and what was the next step from there? They came down and actually discovered you in San Diego?
Yeah, in this coffee shop. Never did demos or anything like that. I decided on Atlantic, and I've been very happy with them. I mean, I have a really simple album. Nobody had to believe in it. And they really believe in the soul and the intent and the intelligence of it, and have just kept me out on the road touring. I've been on the road for a year and a half solid, and it's with their dedication and hard work and with my touring, it's starting to pay off.
It really is. I mean, we said before, off camera once again, about you build a real fan base and real passionate, honest fan base from playing live.
Yeah.
As opposed, so it's almost good it happened this way that now it's starting
I think
to
it's
kick
better.
in.
I think hardwood grows slowly.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of audiences can be fickle nowadays. There's so much hitting them over the head that you don't really see any classic artists anymore that can stay around for years and years. And I think the only way you can do that is go slowly. I mean, I don't want the fame and all that isn't what it's about. I mean, I want to sing the rest of my life and write the rest of my life. I'm a writer. I'm just beginning. I'm just starting and just growing. So it should be exciting. I want an audience that'll change and grow with me.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that's really the way it should be. That's great.